Say what you want about Austin Matthews. The next time the USA is at the Olympics, their captain will be Boston Bruins James Hagens.
This is hockey right here.
Bruins! Whoa! 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 Whoa!
Welcome in. Garden Level Podcast. Dan Conlon, Cam Stewart, Rogue Media Sports Network. It's episode 20, Dan. Episode 20, which means that this episode is dedicated to former Boston Bruin
Daniel Paille.
Close. You're so close. And I love the effort. You're close. Lee Stepniak, your watch is over, brother. We will see you in Valhalla. Episode 20. And Dan is going to be shitting his pants for next week's episode. He already is cooking up who episode 21 is dedicated to. Man, one of the absolute legends of Boston Bruins hockey. We're going to have Jack Studley on in a few minutes. He comes from Boston Hockey Now. We're going to talk about a lot of Olympics, a lot of Bruins prospects, but this is a Bruins show. So before we get there, Dan, I think we owe it to the fans to kind of take stock in the last week. I mean, the excitement around the Boston Bruins in the last week and what they have been doing on the ice, we could take up a whole episode if we just talked about the last week.
They haven't lost in over a week. So
people aren't talking about that.
The Bruins cannot lose the past week. Actually, I don't know.
They're in the second wild card.
They are in the second wild card.
Everybody keeps winning.
But yeah, USA Hockey is undefeated. Jeremy Swayman is undefeated in Olympic play. And the Bruins haven't lost in over a week. So this is a great week for USA Hockey and Boston Bruins fans.
How did you feel, real quick? How did you feel about Swayman on Saturday?
I was getting texts from my New York friends like, what is going on with him? I couldn't explain it. I just said that was a great shot. That was my response to that.
I think the second goal, or the third goal, I guess, right? Because the first one was the kind of stuffing the pad, probably intentionally kicked in, but you can't really do it with that play. The second one's the one from the red line. The third one, I think, might be worse on the goalie. Like, I think Swayman sees that one the whole way, and it's not like an Al McInnes clapper from the top of the circle. It's from the blue line. He picks it up. It's a well-placed shot, but I think he's got to have that. And Eddie Olczyk was like, you need to save from your goalie, and you didn't get one. And I'm like, as much as I love Swayman, and he's having a great year, how many times do we say that about Jeremy Swayman?
That
wasn't great.
That was 24-25 Swayman on display that game. And I think that play too was kind of funny overall because Vinny Trocheck loses the faceoff, and then JT Miller skates out,
he's
screens
there for
the goalie.
Face-offs, by the way.
Yep. JT Miller goes out, screens the goalie, doesn't block the shot, and then the goalie brought in to back up Kelly, let in a shot from the blue line. So that was just overall, everyone there was brought to do one job, and they all failed at that miserably on that play.
Well, I have a bunch of Stars fans on my timeline from my time in Texas, and some BU fans too, who were just bitching about how this should have been Jake Ottinger in there. And I'm like, my man, if Jake Ottinger had a better season so far than Jeremy Swayman, he'd be in there. The name that you are looking for is Spencer Knight, okay? Not Jake Ottinger, who is an elite goalie who is having, by his standards, kind of a dog shit season on a pretty good team. His save percentage is under 900. For a guy of that ilk, it's bad. So spare me the Otter thing, okay? I like Jake Ottinger, but spare me the Ottinger thing. And the more I look at that red line goal, Dan, the more I'm like, it is pretty fucking stupid that the boards are basically black. Like, who does that? That's insane.
They listened, though. They changed it.
Yeah, they are changing it for the knockout rounds. I mean, we're just lucky that the friggin' toilets flush and that the stands don't collapse. All right,
and
like,
this
is a Hooverville ice arena in Milan, so we should just be lucky with that, or happy with that. And Jeremy Swayman likely won't get another period in the Olympics. Knock on wood. because while I don't think he's a disaster, I'd rather have Hellebuck in there. Although, here's my last thing before we bring in Stud. Hear me out, Dan. Jeremy Swayman is the best goalie on the planet when he is playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just bear out the scenario, knock on wood. USA, Canada, gold medal. That's what everybody wants. Jeremy Swayman said after the game, it doesn't matter if the boards are black because he's colorblind. So it's a playoff game. Canada goes out there. They've got the maple leaf on the uniform, and he can't tell if it's red or blue or green or white or gray. Is that how we unlock Jeremy Swayman, the best, the bulldog Jeremy Swayman?
Maybe either that or he just saves every Mitch Marner shot just from that, and then he lets all the other shots go in. But I don't know. It's something we'd have to see. But I like how he came out and was like, "Yeah, I'm colorblind. That's not an excuse I could use."
I'm planting the seed here. I'm planting the seed here. Hellebuck, couple back-to-back shutouts, gets him to the gold medal game, and Mike Sullivan goes up to him and he goes, "Look, my hands are tied, Helly. I got to go with Sway. I got to go with Bulldog here. The guy just loves shooting down Canada's team, and this is the ultimate Canada's team." Would be hilarious if that happens. We'll see. We'll see. We're going to talk rough transition because we're going to talk about the Olympics later in the show. What we do want to talk about with our man, Boston Hockey Now's Jack Studley, is Bruins prospects. Jack, it's fun, man. It's fun that we are talking about Bruins prospect with an S at the end. And it keeps getting better and better by the week. You were a trusted source told me you were at the Beanpot Championship, BU, BC, and as classy and as professional as it gets. He wasn't rooting for either team. He's just wearing the NCAA hockey jacket. It's an objective Big J journalist. And you got to see plenty. You got to see plenty in this Beanpot tournament, and most of them did play for one team. I know you have an extensive report on Jonathan Morello ready to go. But mainly it was the Bruins guys at BC showing out as BC won their first Beanpot in 10 years. Man, it was impressive, the Bruins showing.
It really was. And first, thanks for having me on again. It's an honor to be back here.
You're welcome.
We'll go right back into that. But the Beanpot was incredible, and what a showing for Bruins fans. That's what you want to see. It's a huge deal in Boston. If you go further outside the city, the Beanpot's not really talked about. Shout out to the NHL Network for putting it on, because what other hockey is there to watch, I guess, on a Monday night?
Honestly, I want to echo that. Shout out to the NHL Network for doing that, because the week before the semifinals, I was in San Francisco and I was watching it on NHL Network in the shittiest hotel TV I've ever seen, where to the point where Nesson's Fox box there with the score was half cut off. So I'm watching BU Northeastern on the aspect ratio that's clearly not the size for this TV. And of course, it's like wicked loud. You can't mute it. And like, I literally don't know what the score is because one of the teams, it just doesn't show up. I don't know how much time is left. I don't know what the score is. It was like, it was like watching Hockey Night in Canada with Foster Hewitt 70 years ago. But my friends, that hotel had the shittiest Wi-Fi ever. And I still got to watch the Beanpot. So shout out to the NHL Network. Studley, please take it away.
Yeah. Hey, I guess people got to see more of the Bruins prospects as well with the games on the NHL Network. But, they had a great showing from day one. 5 got on the board. I know Will Moore didn't play in the finals. He got an assist in the first game. Hagens had a 3-point night. Letourneau had a 2-point night. Gasso had 2 assists in the first game, 2 goals in the second game. So, put the Bruins prospect pool on notice for the whole league to see.
Jeez, and that's like scratching the surface, dude.
Yeah. It was a really good, and then to get there at the Beanpot, and Cam, you were there, according to a source.
Double source that next time, journalist.
Some pretty good seats as well. Yeah, the source let me know you had some pretty sweet seats.
Pretty good.
The atmosphere,
day of, man. Day of. Yeah.
The atmosphere in the Garden was unmatched. The BC student section, doubled or tripled the BU student section in size, and they were twice, 3 times as loud as they were. It was every time, and we were sitting on the BU side. I feel like that gives the
I heard
advantage to the
that.
BU
Yep.
fans I would expect them to be louder. Oh, it was the BC fans on the other side of the ice. They didn't stop.
It was unreal, dude. Like, so my fiance was the one who, I mean, I really wanted to go, but she was like, let's go. You know, Monday night, it's not usually her speed, but she does like hockey. So I was like, hell yeah, let's go. And I'm hyping this up to her. I'm like, this is the best tournament. Like, you know, you're going to hear the dueling student sections and all this. And it had been 10 years since I've been to the Beanpot. And I mean, the place was punched out. 17,005 in there. Like, it was electric. Before puck drop and during. BC student section was huge. And I mean, I'm sure you looked up there when BC would score. You could hear it, and then you'd see it, and it was like a soccer crowd, like limbs everywhere, people jumping around. Like, I'm like, are we going to get the fire marshal in here? It was, I wish it was a better game. Obviously, I was rooting for BU. And I wish it was a better game because that crowd kind of deserved it. But still, man, even in a 6-2, just the best damn atmosphere you could get for neutral site college hockey. Like, there's absolutely nothing better than that. Dan, we got to get you to one of these, man.
You got to. I didn't get the invite.
And you're kind of perfect for it because you don't have a dog in the fight. Much like Studley, you don't have a dog in the fight. It's probably better, trust me.
I just borrow his, black NCA sweater and maybe put on an NHL hat. But it's crazy to me. It's been 10 years since BC won the Beanpot, and you look at the amount of people, NHL players that came out of BC in the last 10 years, just to think that they haven't won in that long was kind of shocking to me. But it was kind of crazy too, seeing, just the atmosphere, like you guys said, just watching on TV. Didn't get the invite, so I watched it at my house. I heard on Twitter the atmosphere was crazy, so it's kind of cool to see the student section getting into it and what that means for hockey, keep growing the game and getting everyone involved in the city. So that was cool to hear on Twitter how crazy electric it was there. I hope you guys had a good time. I'm glad you guys got to meet up too. It took you like 3 periods to realize that. So
got there in the end.
But
got there.
There were obviously the Bruins have a lot of prospects on BC, the BC Bruins, but there are some people who are playing that game that haven't been drafted yet and could be potential targets of the Boston Bruins come the draft this year. Those guys named are Tynan Lawrence and Oscar Hemming. Curious what your thoughts are. You've seen both of them. I think last time I checked, Lawrence, he has been playing well. I think he has 2 points in 13 games at BU. He made the jump a few weeks ago. And Oscar Hemming, he's had a lot of chemistry on that line with Hagens, and he has good size, very physical. He had that game-winning goal a few games ago against Merrimack, I think with a minute left or so. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are on seeing 2 potential Bruins targets and how you think they could potentially fit with the Bruins if they go that way.
Yeah, for sure. Lawrence was somebody who I was interested in, and I'm glad I got to see him in person. I know his numbers haven't been as good since he joined BU, but there was a mock draft in December on The Athletic that had him number 1. So it was like, all right, now mid-season transfer, move up from the USHL. Almost it's a good thing for Lawrence to hit this kind of stop, and where you're facing some adversity, you're playing in a tougher league against tougher guys. See where you're at before you're about to get into the draft. Maybe that helps as stock as well, bring it down, because I don't think the Bruins are going to pick. We're coming close to top 10. They might not even have a pick in the top 10. So unless if his stock falls, I don't know if he's going to be a Bruin. Hemming, on the other hand, you might want to draft him because of how good Hagens is with him.
It's a good point. And like, these guys are 2 different styles too. I look at Lawrence and, I don't want to say he's James Hagens, but when you see kind of the struggles that he's had so far, it would be like if James Hagens came in mid-season last year as a 17-year-old, like Tynan Lawrence is, and wasn't playing with a couple of NHL guys, right?
Yep.
With Perreault and Leonard. And like people have been raving about Lawrence on the defensive end, and they're like, okay, like that's clearly a strong suit in his game, and the creativity will come, I guess, when he isn't playing with a bunch of a-holes like that BU team. I mean that endearingly. And you look at the other side and Hemming, and he comes in. He's obviously a different style of player, man. Like he is power forward, 6'4", 200, and is coming into big games right away and producing. Dude, like I see that guy as like famous last words. Like last year, the Bruins were so desperate for centers, and I don't think they're that desperate anymore. In fact, that's a position I wouldn't put at the top of my priority list when it comes to the NHL draft. But then again, if you're picking in the top 10, just pick the best guy available. Hemming can play center, can play on the wing. I think I see him more as a winger in the NHL just because of his size. You know what I mean? Stud, I might be wrong on that because he's 17 years old. But I think that guy comes in and he looks like as close to a power forward as you can get as a 17-year-old these days.
I completely agree. And I think it just goes, I mean, he looks so comfortable on the wing at BC. That's what I'm looking at when he's playing on the right side with Hagens on the left. And I know that's changed around a little bit. Hagens is on the right this weekend, but he just looks like a natural winger. I'm sure he's 17, so he can probably play everywhere up on the forward line. But I feel like as soon as he gets older, time might tell. I could see him as that power forward on the winger, like you just said. I don't really see a need for him at center almost if you have that guy on the wing.
It'll be interesting too. I think the last mock draft I saw had him going 17th to San Jose. So that's just kind of an idea of where they have him ranked right now. With the Toronto pick, that's probably going to be higher than the Boston pick. Just being, cautious. Let's just say it's between 10 and 13 or 14. That's still an Oscar Hemming range unless his stock keeps continuing to rise like it does. I think we should tell him just to chill out a little bit.
Yeah, that's my worry here. That is my worry, Dan.
So if we can get a message to him next time you go to a game, just relay that to him. And if you go to BC, there's also like a 50% chance you get drafted by the Bruins anyway. So I'm curious what Bruins fans think. I think some Bruins best player available is kind of like the best way to do it. Obviously, we have a lot of depth right now at center. I think some people may want to see them go defense if they have a top 12 pick, depending on what the board is like. But that would be an awesome pick and something to get excited about, especially if it's a Toronto pick, because then you just know it's going to be someone good.
Because it would be something. If it's Hemming too, like a power forward, just like. I mean, who doesn't want a power forward? But Toronto is so desperate for some grit and some edge to know that you're getting him with the pick that you got for sending Brandon Carlo out, who they thought was going to give them grit and edge. And I swear to God, man, that trade comes up at least once a week on this show. But it would be hilarious.
Well bring it up.
Why not?
So we were debating if that will be the best Toronto Boston fleecing. We think Rask is number one right now, trading a Hall of Famer for basically a 1 year of Andrew Raycroft. The Kessel trade obviously was good, but Kessel did have a good solid 6 years with the Maple Leafs, and Sagan and Hamilton didn't really end up doing too much with the Bruins after 3 years when Cam Neely kicked them out. So it has potential to be better than the Rask trade if Hagens stays here for over a decade and is a top 6 forward. And if you get that guy like Hemming to contribute for another 10 years, then I think could top the Rask trade, hopefully.
Yeah, that would be incredible. And it's just the way that the trades have fallen with the Maple Leafs is just very one-sided. But back to the first pick. So
yeah, let's do it.
Thinking that there would be 2 picks between maybe 10 and 20, let's say. Now, I'm under the I can see this Bruins team making it to the playoffs. The way that they've been playing, a lot has gone right. We said that before the season, a lot needs to go right for them to get in. I think that could be the case, but I don't know how long they'll play in the playoffs. So I would expect both picks to be between 10 and 20. Your first pick, you have to look at a right-hand defenseman.
Okay, so you're not quite just going best available. You're saying we got to hunt this. Okay. Let's do it.
If there's an option there's a few right-handed defensemen in this draft. Now I think a lot of them will go in the top 10.
Gavin McKenna's sitting there at 11.
I know. Gavin McKenna's sitting there at 11. You're gonna go.
No, but you're right. I mean,
100%.
it is the biggest need for the Bruins at this point.
Yeah.
For years it's been center, but right now it is. It's right shot defenseman.
And it was even one of their big needs at the draft last year, and they didn't take one. So you have McAvoy, you have Peak, who's probably a trade target, and you have Jokiharju, and then you have Victor Soderstrom, and it doesn't get much deeper than that. I think it's Billy Sweezy. Blanking on if there's another right-handed shot in Providence, so sorry about that. But Mason Langenbrunner is the only right-hand shot in the prospect pool. You need somebody else, because I don't know if Langenbrunner's NHL pro career is really going to take off. So you need a right-hand defenseman. If there is none, that's when you go best available.
By the way, speaking of players from that era, I was sitting like across the aisle from Chris Draper at the BU game on Saturday. He's the assistant GM for the Red Wings, and they were looking at one of the UNH guys. But I told him about the Gary Thorne call, Chris Draper, and he was like, "Yeah, I hear that a lot. And he had like a youth hockey team like in his row that were like rowdy and kicking chairs and stuff. And I'm like, man, I wonder how often the scouts get this. But sorry,
yeah.
oh
my God, nothing worse than that. I had it with I went to a BC game this year with Damon McLean from BNG and my buddy Peter. And we sat down, and there were 3 rows open in front of us. And I was like, "Oh, this is great! Like, this is going to be an unbelievable experience." And then about the 7-year-olds come running up the stairs, and they were screwed. We moved. It didn't last long. So shout out to Draper for dealing with that. I can't.
Poor guy, Chris Draper. What a guy! And his son is one of the Red Wings prospects. All there, like we talk about Bruins with BC. This is kind of relevant. I looked because I was looking to see who Draper was there scouting at their draft picks in the NCAA. And bro, they don't even have to leave the state. I mean, who would at this year, man, with Michigan and Michigan State, and obviously Western won it all last year. They've got a bunch of those guys, just a bunch of them. Dan, help us. What were we talking about?
We were talking about right-hand defenseman.
Right-handed defenseman, man. Yeah.
I kind of need it. But what happens if we trade for Justin Falk? Do we need a draft a defenseman? Apparently there's rumors out there now. I'm not sure if you heard those, but apparently we may trade an Anderson package for 34-year-old Justin Falk.
For someone who's 5 years older. Yeah, great.
More experience.
I hope not. I hope the Falk rumors die. I haven't seen them since the break started, but man, that would be. And the Blues and that's the thing with the Blues at the deadline. They're gonna want the highest price. They're gonna want what Sweeney got at the deadline last year, and I don't think.
And Toronto does not have a pick to trade. That's the problem.
Yep. But I think that the St. Louis, the prices there are too high. I don't think they're actually going to be selling off as much as their guys are rumored to be going.
No, if they want to give us Robert Thomas, we'll take him.
I'll take Thomas.
I'll throw a first-round pick in there if Thomas is included. Sure.
If we're gonna take the rumored the low rye and a first that package for Anderson, I wouldn't hate sticking in Calgary and looking at Mackenzie Weegar. But at the same time, don't. You're in your own retool right now. The Sweeney's retooling this roster started last year. I don't want to rush to the end of that, but again, a guy like Mackenzie Weegar, he's under a good contract. Lock him in. That's your second pair right-hand defenseman. But I'm not buying too high on that because I do think that if Calgary chooses, now I haven't seen Weegar's name out there all that much, but if they do choose to go that route, I don't know if I think the price will be similar to an Anderson.
We did a mock trade. We went over a mock trade a few weeks ago for Robert Thomas, and the package was Patra, Lohrei, and our first round pick this year. And we posted that, and the feedback we got, it was 50-50. Some people called us idiots. But
naturally,
to be fair, that was Bruins just fans. My mom, man. That was just my mom.
it was her burner, yeah. But I think there's a lot of Bruins fans out there that don't want to give up Lohrei. They don't want to give up on the Lohrei experiment yet. And he has played better this year. He went from a -43 I think he's a +8 right now. So there's a 50 difference right there. He's done pretty well under Sturm, and Sturm's done a great job with player development and connecting with the young guys. So I will say there is a good portion of the Bruins fan base that doesn't want to give up Low which he's a young guy, best young defenseman. Not saying much when you look at our prospect pool, but you got to give to get. So I think there's some Bruins fans that think you just give up, mid-round draft picks and Fabian Lysell and get what they want, but that's the reality of it.
Another thing with acquiring a guy like Thomas, or I even talked about, I saw that some of the Rangers beat writers posted that Vinny Trocheck could land here. It's a landing spot. Not to say that there's any trade talks going on, and they better not. But why bring in a center if we just talked about all these prospects that the Bruins have? You're just gonna, if you bring in a guy like Thomas and you already have Elias Lindholm locked in until 2030, where's Minton gonna play? But like, how much higher can he get if you have two guys locked in at 1C, 2C? Because then you also have Zacha, which you can push to the wing if you want to keep. If you move Lindholm, I guess if you trade for Thomas, you move Lindholm down to second line center. You put Thomas at the first line, Zacha to a wing. Then Minton's capped at 3C. Then you're moving Hagens to a wing, unless if you're moving Thomas or Lindholm. Lindholm's not a winger. He's a two-way centerman. So that's another thing I'm hesitant, especially with a guy like Trocheck. Don't want to bring him in because it's just going to create a further jam at the center. We have a lot of prospects. That's a strength of ours now. There's depth down the center. So I don't want it just to kind of tighten things up and make it so that we can't move around. Like, the flexibility in the lineup really helps the Bruins, especially if you're building the team down the road.
Yeah, and like, you got Hagens in all likelihood coming in basically for free this year.
Yep.
Right? Like, I know James Hagens, day one as an 18-year-old or 19, I guess he's turning, is not Vinny Trocheck. I understand that. But back to your point about the retool, Jack, that's where it's like, sometimes you do need to just let some of this play out. You're not going to win the cup this year. I get the urge to kind of go for it, and anything can happen in the playoffs and all that bullshit. But like, why not just wait a year here? Because contract wise, the Bruins are in a pretty good spot. Like the Elias Lindholm, that's still not a good contract, right? It's not, even though he's having a nice little year. But other than that, like, you're in a pretty good spot contract wise with all these prospects coming in. And I do want to ask about the other BC hotshot. We know the tournament as the Beanpot, just barely outside of Boston in Chestnut Hill. They know it as the Dean Pot. Hagens wins the MVP. Dean Letourneau was awesome and has been awesome all season long. We've already gone over, the bad year he had last year, how he's bounced back. But what I'm really starting to wonder, Jack, is this. Like, I was talking about it with Dan before we got on here. Is like, what is the player profile for Dean Letourneau at this point? Because he was a shooter growing up, and he's got a good shot right now. And so the natural thing that people lean towards, for his ceiling when it came to the draft was Tage Thompson, right? Big guy, 6'6", 6'7", both of them, and has a hard shot. And what I think has been really impressive about Letourneau this season is how quickly his game has become pretty well-rounded. And how he's using his frame much better than last year. He's getting in the greasy, grimy areas. We saw the combination of both in his goal in the Beanpot Championship, where it's actually a great slick little move with his hands, but it's right in tight, like right on the doorstep. So do you see him as more of that like Tage Thompson type? I know that's a lofty expectation, but that type of player, or do you see kind of like what we were talking about with Hemming, more of a power forward, not just a shooter, but a guy who can clear guys out in the front of the net on both ends of the ice? Like, what kind of profile do you see for Dean Letourneau as he has this bounce back season?
Yeah, and he's been so much fun to watch this season. Complete 180 on his game from last year. Now, granted, last year, broken hands, fourth line minutes.
it all starts to clear up, doesn't it?
Jump too early, but man, this has been a breath of fresh air for Letourneau. I think it's just a matter. I think it could be, to answer your question, both, like a mix of both, where he's getting into the greasy areas net front, but he's also like a playmaker kind of. But he also, I'm so excited for Letourneau's future because I think there's so much to work with. He's got so much talent that it's like, can you narrow it down? Because he's got his 6'6", 6'7" frame, and he's playing with his size. So the more he can play with his size, the more of a force he is on the ice. But he can also shoot. He can also score. He can also generate plays. So it's more of like a, what can't he do right now? But then at the same time, I know I caught some shit last time I was on for saying Letourneau should make the jump. At what point is he's already the biggest and the largest in college hockey? At what point does that become kind of redundant where you're not really growing yourself as a player? You're the biggest, probably the most dominant physically. Why not the AHL?
That was gonna be my next question. What do you think the best path for Dean and Hagens is? We're in February right now. I think ideally everyone would like to see Hagens come up before the season ends. Like McAvoy's path to the NHL. He had 2 good solid college seasons. He played 4 games down in Providence just to get his footing in the pros, and then he just jumped into the Ottawa Senators playoff series and had a good series. Didn't win that series, but I'm kind of hoping that might be the similar path to Hagens. I'm not sure if you agree, but what do you think is the best path right now for Hagens and Dean going forward? When do you think we'll see them in the NHL?
Yeah, I'll start with Hagens just because I think that's the pressing one. I think he'll be on the Bruins roster by the end of the season. I'd be shocked if he's not. I don't know if they'll go with the AHL. I know they did with McAvoy just to get him some big game reps. But if you're cutting it close, it's like we said earlier, it's a free trade deadline acquisition. James Hagens, like you get a 18, 19-year-old scoring winger, sure, take it. But whether Providence is on a tear right now. They're unbelievable this season. So they're gonna be playing in the playoff games come April. So whether that's where you bring Hagens in and let him get started at the end of a Providence season and then bring him up to Boston if they're in the playoffs in April. Because I think Hagens could have that same entrance point as McAvoy did. First game of the playoffs, you jump in, you're here, like, welcome to the team. But I wouldn't hate seeing him in the regular season just because of something like Gabe Perreault last year. He got called up to the Rangers and wasn't always in their lineup, just in case something like that happens where he's ready, but he's not fully ready. Give him some time to practice with the guys before the offseason. Something like that for Hagens. But if you're asking me, put him on the Boston roster as soon as BC's season's over. Don't know when that'll be. I still think BC could sneak into the playoffs, and if they do, it might make some noise. They're playing a lot hotter now. Put Merrimack's game on Friday to the side. So Hagens, sooner rather than later, Boston roster. Letourneau, probably a year in the AHL. I wouldn't hate it just because of like I just said, his size. He's the biggest player in college hockey. What more can he do? Now he can definitely do more in college, but wouldn't Providence be just a natural step up? Let him play against guys that are more his size, that are bigger, that are stronger than the 18, 19, 20-year-old kids in college. Let him play against some grown men.
I do think that becomes an interesting question within the last couple of years, Stud, because, I think there is now that question of, do we want these guys developing more in the NCAA than we do in the AHL? And it's, talking about the talent that's in the NCAA now and the coaching versus, some career minor leaguers that you're going up against in the AHL. And we're seeing a lot more guys, not just the elite of the elite, making that jump from college and straight into the pros. So I do think this is fascinating. I think this is like a legit question for Don Sweeney and company. And I would say, I don't know what's the best path for him, but coming from a Bruins fan standpoint, I think they'd rather see him at BC, because I think there's that reputation of Don Sweeney letting guys rot in Providence, right? Like if he plays at BC, he won't be able to come up till the end of the season. Whereas in Providence, he could come up whenever they need him. But I think that would give some anxiety to Bruins fans if he's stuck down there in Providence.
100%. If you look at like even the Lysell conversations that have happened every year for the last 4. So yeah, I can definitely see them because I don't think Hagens will play at BC next season. Why not give the team to Letourneau? Let him run the show because it's going to be
it's worked for
season
Hagens this year.
Exactly, but it's also going to be a season of transition where no Gasso, no Yelvik, they're senior Bruins prospects. They're done. Like their career has got to continue elsewhere. Let the third year center, who's a first round pick locally, he's not local, but playing for the local team, let him run the show. So I don't think that they have a wrong decision with Letourneau. I just don't want them to, and it's not letting him rot in college because it is great hockey in college, but I don't want them to almost stunt his growth in college where if he already achieved like his ceiling there, you might want to move him. Not saying he has, he's still on a tear, but I don't.
Right, but you're
I don't
playing a
want them
game with
to,
that.
Yep,
You're playing
100%.
a game with, 10, 12 years ago, you could leave after the World Juniors in the middle of the season. You can't do it anymore. And so it's like, do we reach a point where by Christmas break, Dean's got it? Like he's got everything in the bag, and we, the Bruins, need somebody like Dean Letourneau, and we can't go get him. It's an interesting question. It really is, man.
Did you hear Johnny Lazarus, what he said about Hagens? He
No, what'd he
said if BC doesn't win a natty this year, that he should just go back to college to try to win it. Like just stunt a year, like just give it. And I'm like at that point, might as well stay a 4th year just to get the captain.
Yep.
Yeah, why not? I think Bruins fans would love that too.
And then
I think
spend
Bruins
3
fans would
years in
really love it.
Providence, and when he's 25 years old, he'll be up here, and we'll be on our 30s. So that'd be great. But I do agree. I think Hagens being up here this year is important. That'd be a great boost to this team. I will like to point out, because it might make me sound smart, the Bruins play 25 games in 48 days after the post-Olympic break. So a set of fresh legs might not be a bad thing. So I think that could be a boost.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. I'll clip that. But and with Dean, I think, like you said, you saw what happened last year when he got rushed into going to BC. He had a terrible year. Then he rebounded. I would love to see him have a great year in Providence, but are you going to rush him again? And is that going to be another lost year? And then he needs to do another year to regain his confidence. So I think with Dean, I would love to see him kill it in Providence. But if you just want to play it safe and not have the whole Providence, fear of him going down there and us never seeing him again, maybe you just send him back to BC and win a national championship if he didn't win it again this year. But I think these are 2 good prospects that we've been able to see this year. Are there any prospects that aren't getting too much attention in the Bruins prospect pool that you'd like to give a shout out to that Bruins fans should become familiar with?
Yeah. We talked about it a little before we started, but Cooper Simpson, 3rd round pick from this summer's draft, has been lighting it up for the Youngstown Phantoms. Now, I also said to you before the show, if you had asked me a year ago today, February 17th, if I was paying attention to the USHL, I would have said no. There's no reason. And then a couple weeks later, the Bruins trade for Will Zellers. Now I'm paying attention to the Gamblers. Now I'm paying attention to the USHL. And here we got the USHL's leading scorer, Cooper Simpson, on the Bruins prospect pool. 26 goals, 34 assists, 60 points on the year, 47 games. He's been ripping it up. He's got some penalty minutes under his belt too, 64 on the year. So he is a little bit of a
hard to play against.
Yeah, exactly. So he's been somebody.
Vinegar.
It is. Yeah, he has been. He has
piss
been
in there too. How about that?
Yep. He's what a pick. I mean, 3rd round too. I thought, from development camp this summer, he had a phenomenal shot. He's been using it. But he's also a playmaker. He's getting assists. He's got more assists than goals. So Simpson, I'm excited. North Dakota next year. I think that the Bruins, to go from no prospect pool to this is pretty fucking sweet.
To having a wagon of a prospect pool. Like this is kind of crazy, man. Everything is turning up good. We never talk about Chris Pelosi because he's not like a huge prospect. But he's having a heck of a year again for Quinnipiac. They're loaded all of a sudden.
Quinnipiac too, and Gronwald is also having a great year. He's
he's a +40.
That leads the NCAA in plus minus. Plus 40 is incredible, and it only goes up every week. It's awesome. But yeah, they've both been having. Pelosi's hurt right now. But in the meantime, Grunwald is. I think he scored 2 goals. He had back-to-back goal. He had games with back-to-back games where he scored a goal. I got there in the end.
Yeah.
And he's just been lighting it up. I remember seeing him even at the beginning of the season on like a short list for the World Juniors. He didn't make it. Would have loved to see him play there, but he's been a rock on that Quinnipiac blue line this season.
Should we take a trip to North Dakota to see Zellers and Simpson play next year? Maybe do a live show?
Really, really fun team to watch.
Do you think they'll come to New Haven, maybe play Quinnipiac?
I hope so.
I mean, how could you deny that great
or
college hockey
BC?
rivalry?
Bring them to Chestnut Hill.
Yeah. I do want to ask something. I do want to ask about the BC guys. One more thing. We talked a lot about Letourneau. Hagens, obviously, is the name that everyone's looking at. We already talked about him coming up potentially at the end of the season. But I think it's worth noting. I mean, those are 2 of the top 4 scorers in Hockey East. They're the top 2 scorers on their team. We've talked about how versatile Dean Letourneau has been and how his game can kind of mold to the next level. I think, seamlessly might be tough. That's a lot of pressure on a kid, but it should be able to be there pretty quickly. I do want to read this. This is from Grav Murdoch, who you probably guys probably watch on YouTube. Gravite, I think is how he says it. But James Hagens taking the step forward. So last year, 37 points in 37 games, and he got ripped for it. He dropped in the draft for having a point a game at 11 goals and 26 assists. He was 3rd on BC in scoring. This year, mind you, without the weapons. The dude was playing with 2 guys who ended the season in the NHL last year. This year, 34 points in 26 games, an even split with 17 goals, 17 assists, 1.3 points per game. Beanpot MVP, and oh, by the way, 2nd in the NCAA in points per game since Thanksgiving. The dude freaking rocks. And my question is, Jack, we knew he had the offensive creativity. Like, we knew that was there. I'm starting to see a lot more of the Jack Hughes that people were talking about.
Yep.
But is there something in his game that you've seen improvement on? Was there anything at the Beanpot last week where you're like, man, James Hagens has taken a step up in this?
Yeah, I think, and this might be kind of obvious just based off of who we played with last year compared to this year. I feel like his just playmaking ability. He's able, last year, he was on a line with Leonard and Perreault. That one naturally makes you look good. You got 2 guys that got called up to the NHL at the end of the year. They're high picks. So I'll still never get over how Hagens' stock dropped. I'll take it, though.
I mean, it's the luckiest we've gotten in the draft in so long. Even the Sagan pick, we could have been number 1, instead of number 2. Could have had Taylor Hall even earlier. But this was, I mean, what a stroke of luck we got.
Yep. But for Hagens this season...
shout out real quick. Shout out Barry Trotz. Shout out Nashville Predators. I don't know if we give it enough credit on this show, even though Dan and I think it all the time, but thank you guys for taking Brady Martin, man. Like, fucking dolts. Are you kidding me? You could have had Porter Martone or James Hagens. You took Brady Martin. Oh, thank you to Barry Trotz. I'm sorry, Jack. I've interrupted you.
No. It was definitely a questionable choice by Nashville. But it was the right one for the Bruins. But man, I mean, even it's just Hagens' game is it's special to watch. He's just such a great player. Even I remember being at development camp and just watching him out in the warm-ups, watching him doing the skating drills. He's such like a precise, fine skater. But this year for me, it's just been his playmaking. He's on the left wing. He's not playing with those 2 guys. He's more playing with and now he's playing with Gausseau and Hemming. So it's like, and yeah, Hemming's a pretty good player. And not to say Gausseau isn't. I think Gausseau lands in Providence at the end of the BC season as well. But I think it's definitely a little bit of a drop off. But for him, it's been almost better.
Are you seeing the Jack Hughes?
Yeah. I've seen Jack Hughes. I feel like I've seen Jack Hughes for a little bit, just with the skating and all that stuff. Reminds me of his size. He reminds me a lot of Jack Hughes, always has. but now I'm seeing it a lot more when I see him on the ice.
As much as I rip into Jack Hughes sometimes, I take Jack Hughes.
Same boat.
I would take Jack Hughes.
Same boat.
That. Oh man.
And his brother. Throw in Quinn.
All of them.
Yeah. I'd love Luke Hughes on this team for sure. For sure. By the way,
Jack, Luke, and what's his name? What's the third one?
Jack, Luke, Quinn.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Not to bring her into the episode for the second time today, but my fiance has discovered Quinn Hughes. She's got it on her social media, like all these Quinn Hughes memes, and like how you could see the life just being sucked out of him as he just stares off into space. I was like, dude, I can't believe there was that NHL Face-Off show that Prime did. That was pretty good. And one of the episodes was Quinn Hughes. I got to go back and watch it, man.
Yeah.
What a freaking player he is. I know, hot take alert on the Garden Level podcast. Quinn Hughes, hell of a hockey player, man. I freaking love watching.
I think he'll make it.
USA. He might make a name for himself, dude. I'm saying, and this is actually a good natural transition here. I think Quinn Hughes might be the best player on Team USA. In which case I would have Austin Matthews third, by the way.
Yep.
Is Eichel too?
Eichel, yeah.
Eichel.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on that.
I mean,
Swayman 4.
Yep.
Trocheck rounds it out. But like I watch Quinn Hughes, man, and I'm like, again, he's obviously at worst the second best defenseman in the world, but I'm like, he's just always in the right spot. And if he's not, he's going to get there quicker than you will. And that's just defensively. He's also, he and Makar are the most transformative, offensive defenseman in the league. Fuck, man, it's awesome to have that guy on my team for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure Devils fans would have loved to have him on their team for the rest of the time. But
what a fumble!
I know. And look at how their season went after that.
Oh, geez.
Not to throw a random stray at New Jersey, but not getting Quinn Hughes really set them back this season.
Big time.
Yeah, I heard the rumors of them like asking people to like waive their no trade clauses to get them, and it definitely caused some type of divide there. Their expectations were pretty high this year, and I was actually looking forward to rooting for them. They got a nice young team there, but just going back to Quinn Hughes, like I'll admit I didn't watch too many Canucks games back in his time there. So
why the hell not, Dan?
I didn't want to stay up till 1 a.m. watching those games, but it's just seeing him the past week, and obviously you've seen games this year, but just seeing him play, also on the world stage too, in the Olympics, you see a lot of players that you normally don't get to watch on a daily basis just perform, and you're like, wow, this guy's actually really good. So that's kind of the thing with Quinn Hughes. Just seeing him, the difference he would have made at the Four Nations, probably. I'm not sure if we would have won. I mean, we lost by 1 goal, so maybe that would be the difference maker. But seeing him play, the brothers are just killing it for Team USA. The Chuck brothers and the Hughes brothers. I think some of the question marks we had going into the tournament were Austin Matthews and Jack Hughes after how they played in the Four Nations, and they've both been playing pretty good. Austin Matthews in particular, he does get a lot of hate. He plays in Toronto. That's maybe the worst town or city to play in regards to media and NHL. Do you think the hate is warranted? I will admit, like, we had question marks. We didn't think he should be captain. But how do you think he's played so far? And what's your take on the hate he gets around the league and in the Olympics right now?
Yeah, if you asked my brother, who I was watching the games with the other day, he would be like, "You're a part of the hate group for Austin Matthews." Every time he did something, it was
my hate group.
This guy sucks. He's had so much better, but I completely agree with you guys that he shouldn't have had the captaincy for the Olympics just based off of Four Nations. I thought he did terrible at Four Nations. That's changed. I think he's played his way into it. Not that should be the case. It's the Olympic Team USA captain. You shouldn't have to play your way into it. You earn it. I don't think he earned it. This performance at this Olympics, he's earned it. He's finding himself in the right positions. He's making the right plays. He's really just being a threat for the United States, and that's all you can ask out of him. I didn't expect it. We got it.
I got the stats here, which if you're watching on YouTube, you can't see Austin Matthews in there just yet. But it's the most points at a best on best competition for Team USA. And Matthew Tkachuk and Austin Matthews right there. Like, I would love to dump on Matthews in this tournament, but I don't I don't think we can. Like,
yeah, we can't.
He's been impressive, and I was with you last year. Played well defensively in the Four Nations, but like that's not why Austin Matthews is on your team. You know,
Exactly.
this guy who scored 69 goals the year before, very nice. And he comes in and he doesn't score at all, and misses a couple of big chances, including one that would have won the whole tournament. I'm loving what I'm seeing from him so far. I think Eichel's still probably your captain in my book, as you can tell. I'm a fan, but I think Austin Matthews is giving you not as good as he can, because we're that's like 2 years ago is what we're talking about with that. But he's been a good first line center for you.
Yeah,
he really
and
has.
I'll bring up another person. I think let's just put this out there. Who do we think should be captain? So I know you just said Eichel. I'm a Brady Tkachuk guy. Who do you think should be captain if you were a Garen?
I'll go Matthew Tkachuk.
So yeah, we all got 3 different guys.
We got 3 different guys.
And there's great reasons for all of them. Like that's a good thing to have. Obviously, it's Olympics. Like you want to have a bunch of captains and leaders on your team. But I think Brady Tkachuk this tournament and last tournament and in the Four Nations, he steps up when you need it. I remember him bodying Drew Doughty that whole tournament.
Yeah.
Drew Doughty's had some bad things to say about his brother from their time in Calgary. So maybe there's something to do with that. But I mean, look at the Olympics, this past week. He started off the scoring with a great snipe, start off the tournament. They're down 2-1, which they should have never been, but he scores a goal to tie it up. Four Nations, they're down 1-0 to Canada in the championship. He scores. So I think he steps up, and you hear him on the bench. He's mic'd up. He gets the guys going. So that was my pick, but just like to point out, he has stepped up the past 2 tournaments for Team USA when they needed it.
And he's learning his multiplication tables too, which is huge. Yeah. I love Brady Tkachuk, man, but I can't lie to you. I can't get enough of the memes. I can't.
It is hilarious. And then he met Elmo and called it like an unreal experience.
Yeah, unreal, unique experience.
Yeah. Then he's just adding gas to the fire. But yeah, the Tkachuk's.
I believe he said afterwards, "Did you know Elmo could talk?" I think that's what Brady was asking the PR handler there. So he's learning all kinds of shit, man. I do like this Matthew Tkachuk shout, even though he's not a captain on his club team.
Yep.
I think this team kind of does go around his swagger and his style of play.
Yeah,
and he's won the most of anyone there.
Yep. That's kind of what I was thinking about. He's won a lot just off of the Olympic team. He's got that just kind of like rally mentality where he can say something and the whole team will get behind him. I think back to Four Nations last year, and I forget if it was, I said Matthew because Dan, you said Brady. One of the Tkachuks is who I was going to answer. I forget which one it was though, and I wish I remembered when McAvoy went into the Bruins locker room and read the lineup for the game that he wasn't for the championship game for Four Nations last year. I forget which Tkachuk brother it was that got up and like gave him a big hug. It's like
I think they both did. I think Brady was there, and I think Matthew was walking over.
Yep. So it's just I think the team goes off of them, like you just said.
Yeah.
I think the Tkachuks kind of steer the ship, and now Matthews is the captain. But I think there's a very, very obvious reason why Matthew Tkachuk wears an A, and I think if you made it a C, what difference does it make with how he's going to act? He's just going to have this. He's still going to be the same Matthew Tkachuk that we see when he plays for USA.
Which is what you want, because I think Mike Sullivan was telling them treat this like a playoff game, and he goes out there and he's chirping, and he got Twitter riled up. He didn't get Leon riled up. Leon does not care, and you could just tell. But what do you think about the reactions to his chirp to Leon saying he's always the bridesmaid, never the bride? People are pulling up, stats and Tkachuk's history, but I think he got Twitter going. I think he chirped Twitter more than he chirped Leon, but these comments are kind of going crazy. I think he's uniting Canada and Germany against us.
Yep, I think so too. I mean, I'm just so happy that we got this line as clear as we did when we were watching the game. It was like the camera panned right to Tkachuk, and he dropped the line like the microphone was handed to him. Couldn't have been more funny. And then after he said that, it was just everything kind of came back where I was like, that's right, Tkachuk played for Calgary. Obviously they played in the Cup Finals the last 2 years, but it's like they got a lot of history with each other. it's U.S. versus Germany. I don't like.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect Germany's not the biggest threat to the United States here at the Olympics. Like, I kind of expected them to win the game the way they won the game, but still. And Draisaitl, yeah, he wasn't phased, but this is just Kachuk hockey right here.
Yeah, like, can we admit something here? Like, as soon as he takes the USA uniform off, I'm not a Matthew Kachuk fan. I would want him on my team, but I hate him when he's not wearing my uniform. I need to put it out there, though. He kind of cooked with this.
Yep.
He cooked. Like, that's good chirping right there. That is, I beat you at back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, and I'm about to beat your ass again. Like that is a good, I don't want to say wholesome, I guess, but good, healthy chirp right there.
Yeah, and I think it goes to show, like, you want the guys being locked in. Like, if he wasn't talking, I'd be concerned. Like, are these guys just waiting till the knockout stage to start trying? Like, it's nice to see, like, he's treating this like a playoff game, and even though they're up 5-1 against a non-big opponent, he's still, like, sticking to his game and chirping players, whether
it is funny
like
that
it or
Brady,
not.
it is funny that Brady's right behind him, like, yeah. And it's like, man, my brother, you got to play in the second round at least. How about we get there first, Brady? I love
So
you.
whether you hate him or like him, the Kachuk brothers are great for the sport of hockey. And that podcast is going to get them more attention, whether they like it or not. And I think they knew that signing up for that. But yeah, great for the game. And I think they're being displayed a lot. You can't really see Brady with what he's done with the Senators, but now that he gets the recognition playing on a good team, I think his stock definitely goes up. And you'll hear Brady to the Bruins rumors for what, 2 more years now?
Oh,
is that the new Jack Eichel rumors?
Let's make it happen
forever.
Yeah. And not to get like too schmaltzy with this, but like it is kind of refreshing, these guys, they talked about it during the Four Nations last year. They're doing it again now, of like understanding how important this is. Like last year, Matthew Kachuk, who had played in a game 7 of the Stanley Cup final, was like, this is the biggest game I've ever played in. Jack Eichel, who's won a Stanley Cup, saying, this is the biggest game I've ever played in. Like, these guys do like understand what's at stake here, I think, for the future of American hockey. And like, I know it riles up some people on Twitter, but like, they are patriotic, they do really care about this. And they, they love America and they care about this shit, because they hear about it. We as American hockey fans hear about it. Think of these guys, playing major juniors in Canada, some of them, and playing in the NHL, hearing about how they're second fiddle, just Yanks. They don't know how to do this. And here they are, the most talented USA team ever. And they're on the precipice of doing something really special, and they know it. Like, I think there is something to that. There is something that the next couple of days, hopefully next 5 days or so, the country kind of rallies around here, because it's put up or shut up time.
Completely agree. I always think to the 12 years we went without the Olympics, and that's when these players. Yeah. That's when these players are NHL players. Before then, like, that's when all these players that are active in the league right now are growing up. Mm-hmm. So they grew up watching what we grew up watching. They grew up watching the NHL players play for their countries. It was some unreal tournaments back then. I've only heard about them from my dad, but unbelievable tournaments.
Wait a minute. Like 2010, 2014?
No. I knew about those. Like, I'm talking about 96 World Cup. Like,
okay, all right.
We're going a little further back.
Brian Gianta in 2018.
No, 2010 and 14. 10 and 14, I remember. But the ones before that, like 96 World Cup.
02, they made it to the gold medal game on home soil and lost to Canada.
Yeah. It's just what they grew up watching. To see how important it still is to them has been, it's awesome. It's best on best hockey, and it means so much to them. Even if they're playing, like, I guess, Canada playing France, it still means so much. They're going to go out and score 10 goals. Finland 11. Like, it just means so much to everybody. Yeah.
So Sweden is starting their game right now as we speak. Most likely we will be playing Sweden in the quarters, and then possibly Slovakia after that. just what are your key takeaways from the group stage? What does the U.S. need to do to win gold this year? We've seen Canada play; they really haven't been tested yet. But Canada is definitely still the favorites to win it after the group stage. What do you think the U.S. has to do better to upset Canada and win this thing?
I think the boards changing colors helps.
Love that. That's huge for us. Huge for us.
That's number one.
I think they just have to keep playing their game. They've found out the 60-minute game. They can't slow down in the first period. They picked that up against Denmark. It was Denmark was the last game, right? Yeah. So they picked that up, played a full 60 against Denmark. But I think if they can kind of stick to their game, they'll do fine. Slovakia, what a run. Juraj Slafkovsky's been on fire. He just loves the Olympics. He's one of like a few NHLers with previous experience at the Olympics. But I think Slovakia, just the U.S. team is so much better than every team except for Canada that
they should make it to the championship.
It should be a gold medal, U.S., Canada, both men's and women's. That would be incredible, especially after the Four Nations last year. But if the U.S. just sticks to their game, Sweden really shouldn't be an issue. I was severely disappointed with them this tournament. I think that, and I've seen a lot of their coaches getting a lot of shit for some lineup decisions. The Bruins, Lindholms, have been on the short end of the stick.
Yeah. By the way, this is old news by the time this comes out, but good for our conversation right now. For this Sweden-Latvia game, no Philip Gustafsson, no Jesper Bratt, and no Rasmus Andersson. None of them are dressed. They're all naked. I don't know. But it's nuts. Like, no one knows what Sweden's doing game to game.
Did this team just quit?
Yeah.
Did they take that loss to Finland and be like, yeah, that was our championship. We're going.
Because it was
get me back to Vegas.
Maybe,
Anderson.
Dude. That Elias Lindholm went from second line center to scratched. And now I think he's on the fourth line right wing. I didn't see the lineups for today if they made any changes, but at practice yesterday, he was on the fourth line right wing. I'm not quite sure what they're doing with him. But he played bottom 6 minutes at the Four Nations anyway, but he had a great world championship. So it's not like he's like a non-compete factor for Sweden. He is. He just hasn't been playing well. They've been playing 6 defensemen as well, even though you dress 7 in the Olympics. It was Oliver Ekman-Larsson was the 7th defenseman for the first 2 games. Didn't see a minute, and then Hampus got moved into that spot, and I think he's still there today. So that's it. Sweden's just – I love Hampus Lindholm, and I'm not saying that because Bruins, but I think that he should have been on this team to start, especially over a guy like Jonas Brodin, who probably would have been playing. I don't see how you don't play Hampus Lindholm, especially when you have a blue line this good if you're Sweden.
And we watch Hampus Lindholm a lot, and I'm no coach or anything, but I don't see a system where Hampus Lindholm doesn't fit somewhere.
I know.
I do think, and the injuries have been a problem, right, the last couple of years, but when he's healthy, he is that good and that dependable at both
He's such
ends,
a game changer.
all 3 zones. Like, totally, dude. Totally. It's weird. It's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird.
One of the best
I go
passers
to
in Game 7.
I go to search some of the news here. I'm trying to get news on Sweden, but since the NHL, I could just search Bruins on Twitter and get what I need. I can't just search Sweden and get what I need. Okay. I've got plenty of Swedish models popped up, which is great, but not exactly what I'm looking for. So,
Studley, you want the Europeans? Sorry,
Go ahead.
Is that like how some of the Europeans are getting to see what we deal with over here in the NHL with regards to Tom Wilson and Sam Bennett? I like how that's being recognized on the world stage now, where all the Swiss hate Sam Bennett for his high stick and hit on Nico Hischier, and they see Tom Wilson, not his fault, but he was involved in a bad injury. He got reversed hit and just landed on his leg. And then he fought a French guy and actually got ragdolled.
That was awesome.
By a French guy. So I like how this is all kind of being on a world stage where the Swiss are throwing beer at Sam Bennett. Like, they're doing everything every Bruins fan wanted to do.
I did have a moment, guys, after the Tom Wilson fight, like a minute where I was like, I got to look up this French guy. What if he's 20 years old and like is draft eligible and he's actually making some waves? He's not. He's fucking 30 and playing in some European league. He's a duster who's a big dude. But I was like, damn it. Just like one time, give me a 19-year-old that we could bring in. No.
Draft and develop.
It is France we're talking about here, of course.
I heard he got suspended for punching a goalie without a mask on. Not sure if it was this year or...
So he's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
and then he got banned.
He came into this tournament.
Piece of shit.
I forget if he made the roster initially or if he was a late addition, but I think he made the roster initially. He did exactly what you just said, Dan. And then people were trying to get him off the roster. And France was like, "No, we're good. We're going to keep him on. He knows what it means to wear."
France doesn't like fighting in any
blue
in any way, like
on the ice.
Yeah, especially off the ice. But let's talk. All right, Stud. Before we get you out of here, you've been generous with your time. Do you want to give us your medal stand, as we kind of have an idea of, we got play-ins here, but what would your medal stand be like if you had to pick it today?
Yeah, so I'll go biased. I'll say U.S. wins gold.
Fuck yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I think that
play that Chevrolet commercial. Could someone get that Chevrolet commercial going? We talk about USA being the best in everything.
Get that.
That's Jack Studley's music. Yes,
get the
baby.
Budweiser commercial.
Yeah, I need Lee Greenwood. I need friggin' Alan Jackson, the ghost of Toby Keith. I need all of that.
And then on the other, because I see the U.S. beating Slovakia to get there, but I could also see Slovakia, and they're not going to lose to Germany. I don't think Slovakia medals. Finland gets the bronze.
Finland, plucky, man.
I know. Just hanging out. Joka Harju hasn't done much.
Yeah.
They're not playing him either.
Just wait.
So you've got Italy for the silver then.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. We're going to beat Italy.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
I think it's possible. The U.S. can win gold. I think they're not over last year.
Yeah, they lost by a goal. Like it was.
Yeah,
they also beat them. They split last year, and they lost in overtime by a goal. So like, obviously Canada's been impressive this tournament, but I think a lot of people are underestimating this U.S. team. If they meet in there, it's best of one. If they meet in the gold, so we'll see.
That's the best part about it.
And if it goes to overtime, it's gonna be 3-on-3.
Oh God!
For the gold medal too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Imagine some 3-on-3 overtime gold medal for you at friggin' 11 in the morning on a Sunday.
Yeah, that's 8 a.m. is.
I don't need that.
I understand the time difference, but how are we getting 3:10, 1:10, 12:10 games, 10:40 in the morning even, and we pick 8 a.m. for the gold medal? It's like, what?
It's rotten.
Come
dude.
on.
It's a tough tournament to go out to the bars, man. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah.
Last year, I had we were at some poppin' watch parties for the Four Nations, man. Unfortunately, not going to be the case this year.
I'm sure Jack Studley's got some bars open.
Well, they do. Dan knows.
Oh yeah.
Dan knows that Jack Studley is a friend of the show and a great guest to have.
First recurring guest too.
History again.
The DMs were requesting more Jack, so we caved.
It's like a part of the
recurring
family,
guest.
Dude.
Let's go. More history, more podcast history here.
Boston Hockey Now is where you can find him.
Mm-hmm.
And on Twitter at
Jack Studley 13.
There you go. Perfect. Number 13 in your heart. And you can find us. You can find us on Twitter as well, and on TikTok, of course, on YouTube, where you're probably watching this. But if you're not, you can also be listening to us wherever you get your podcasts as well. For Jack Studley, for Dan Conlon, I'm Cam Stewart for the Rogue Media Sports Network. This has been, and will be next week as well, the Garden Level Pod.
Thanks for having me.